Righto, I'll start. So the last one we'll tie today off the list is a fly called the Red Tag Royal. And as I've probably said a few times today, I don't mind plagiarising other flies. So this is a combination of probably two of the most reliable flies in the world, the Red Tag and the Royal Wulff. It's a river fishing fly. My idea of river fishing is small creeks, small trout, and lots of fun. I like the headwaters of rivers. I fished a lot with my great old mate Bob Cooper in the headwaters of the Meander and all sorts of little creeks. One of our most favourite stretches of water is now underneath the Huntsman Dam, which is a great shame, but for the good of the planet, I can live with it. But this is a fly, it's used for fishing pocket water, for poking into white water, for poking into the tails of pools. It casts like a 22 bullet basically. It can be a bit fiddly to tie, and what I do is not necessarily the best way to do it. However, start off with a wing. So I tie the wing in, it's this white high vis or derivations thereof. You get the gist. It's a fairly chunky fly, and it can be a little bit complex to tie. Now, I tie my wing in like that. That's upside down, is it, John?
No.
No, it's upside
don't
down.
worry about that.
Oh, righto. Yeah. So to do that, I just loop that in a bit, and then I want it going underneath, so I tie figure of 8 with it underneath. So it's the reason I do this is so that I've got it even on both sides, because then what I'm going to do in a minute is just pull that up like that and just do a couple of tricky circuits, but still have it high. If you're red hot keen, you might put some glue or something in there, super glue. These things don't tend to last a long time. They end up usually up a tree 3 feet higher than you can reach. So that's basically the wing. I'll leave that wing really long until I get right to the end, and then I'll chop it off. So now we head down the back. There's no rib in any of this, and we'll tie in the tag. I tie lots and lots of different variations of this depending on the day. If I'm fishing on a day like today up a river, I don't want too much fluoro in it. I want lots of fluoro in it. If I'm fishing on a bright sunny day, which is generally when I'll go because it's the most pleasant time, I want colour but not too much fluoro. So I'll quite often just use seal's fur as the tag, which is the red tag bit. And we'll chop him off about there. Now, the Red Tag Royal, the royal bit comes from stealing the idea from the Royal Wulff, Lee Wulff, the great American person. I was really privileged to guide this bloke who was actually guided by Lee Wulff. When I was a guide, got to take some pretty amazing people fishing. That was probably one of the most amazing stories, and listen to his stories of being guided by Lee Wulff. They were a group of people that came with the Murdoch family, who weren't Rupert Murdoch's direct sons and daughters, but they were Rupert's cousins. Anyway, we're out there one day. They owned a business called Computer Share, which is one of those big computer share market registry things. So that first little bit of the body, it's just a little bit right at the end. So it's third, a third, a third. Mostly I'll just do the middle bit, red seal's fur. Anyway, he brought his American shareholders over with him, just a couple of them, which is one of these guys that had been guided by Lee Wulff. Anyway, that night at the lodge, they only ever introduced people by their first name. So, Rainbow Lodge, which is across the gully over here. And this bloke said, I asked him what his name was, I can't remember what his first name was, and he said his second name was Ford. And I said, oh, your grandfather didn't make cars, did he? He said, no, but my great-grandfather did. And they were sitting out on the deck smoking cigars, and they'd been to Crown Casino, and without boring you too much with the story, they had 5 cigars and they'd paid a sum total of $2,500 for the 5 cigars. So I did not feel any remorse at all in charging them the full extent of what I could for the week. But they were great fun to fish with. Righto, so you can see that body, it's quite shaggy, but you've got those 3 different segments to it. Right, now as you can see on the front half of the fly, I've left that with a lot of space, because that's where I'm going to start the hackle and finish the hackle, but not necessarily keep all the hackle. Bear in mind, this is a fly for rough water, like tumbly water. So don't be scared about hackling it a lot. So now I went through and carefully selected a hackle before. I hope that's it. Again, don't get too complicated with hackles. This is just a brown one. It's more to keep the thing afloat. So we get that on there in about there. Does that look all right, John? Again, and away we go. So a couple in front, and then importantly a couple behind that double wing. Right, can you see that? Does that show up all right? And then we'll swing across and get one in front, and then we'll get another one in front of that, and then I'm going to push my luck and get another one.
Yeah, that'd be hard to sink, wouldn't it?
It floats like a cork, which is what you want. I can see it, and it's around, and it's got that nice contrast of colour through it. I used to fish these when I first met Bob Cooper. Bob was a great mate of mine, and I learned a lot from fishing with Bob, and he died really suddenly on the banks of the river, so it was extraordinarily sad to lose Bob, and he was only 65 or so. But the great, I guess, saving grace to it was he actually died doing what he was doing. He had an aneurysm and was basically dead before he hit the ground. And I reckon if you can do that with a fly rod in your hand on the side of a river, then that's as good a way to go as we can all expect, I reckon.
He made some nice landing nets, didn't he?
He did. Trout, Tasmania, and leather fly wallets. And so, tied off. All I do with that is give it a haircut about there, and you've got a fly which will cast like a 22 bullet, catch lots of fish, and I don't know what else you want from a fly. It's just got that really rough, generic X factor about a fly. I love it. Been fishing this since 1996.